plan for Marietta High School. All right, it's taken straight from Marietta City Schools website. The system put out a statement regarding diversity and inclusion. Marietta City Schools is committed to providing safe, welcoming, and affirming spaces for all students, staff, family, and community members, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, religion, sexual identity or orientation, ability or disability, country of origin, or any other identity, category, or characteristics. So again, that is straight from the website of the school system. So I wanted to make sure I put that in there. That way that the public does see the commitments that the school board of the city I work for are committed to. All right, so diving straight into it, the 4-year cohort graduation rate over the last 10 years, we do see a steady increase since 2011. As you can see from the graph, graduation rate is up to 86.7%. So we are making leaps and bounds since 2011, coming from 59.2%. So this sounds great and everything, but once we break down the school into subgroups, we have underlying problems as far as race and students with disabilities. So I have shared a bar graph from the last 4 years of the graduation rate by subgroup with general ed, students with disabilities, English language learners, and then also by race with Black, Hispanic, and white. The blue bar graphs are from last year. The gray is from 2 years ago. The red is 2019 and green is 2018. The trends that we do see here are English language learners have a graduation rate of more than 20% lower than everyone else in the building. Students with disabilities have also a lower rate than general students in the building. As far as race is concerned, we have a 98.1% graduation rate for whites, 78% with Hispanics, and 88.6% with the Black community. So the Black community is in the middle. It's a little higher than the whole building, but there is a vast increase with the white graduation compared to the entire building. What I am concerned about is the Hispanic community. Yes, we're at 78% and we're making increases with that the last 3 years, but we're still behind as far as all students in the building. So we're going to talk about strategies maybe used that we can close that gap a little bit. So graduation rate analytics, like I said, students with disabilities in the building are less likely to graduate than their peers. I don't have data from other schools, but I don't think that's really out of the ordinary. Students with disabilities are going to tend to struggle more than those without disabilities. English language learners perform the poorest on the graduation rate. Like I said, Hispanics are least likely to graduate within 4 years in the building. All right, so next I'm going to show you attendance within the building. And these are over the last 7 years, the percent of students missing 5 days or fewer of school. This is a statistic because we want to see, how many kids are missing just on a regular basis. Not every kid's going to have perfect attendance. We get that. But if we have students that are missing more than 5 days, then we do have a problem. We've kind of gone up and down over the last 7 years, but we only have 48% of the building that is missing 5 days or fewer. So that's a majority of the building that's missing more than 5 days. So that is concerning. Yes, we've made strides just from 2020, but we do have to remember that 2020 was the beginning of the pandemic. We do not have numbers for this year yet, but 7 years is a good sample size of what we're roughly looking at for next year. Students that are missing between 6 and 15 days. And I broke this up by subcategories as well. Our general ed kids are missing 22% of the building are missing 5 to 15 days. Students with disabilities are missing more than general ed kids. What I thought was interesting, of all the subcategories, English language learners are missing the least amount of school. So we have the lowest graduation rate, but yet we are attending the most school out of anyone else in the building. The Black community is missing 24.8, Hispanics are missing over 20%, and whites are missing 23.4. So whites are missing more school than Hispanics, and yet they have almost a perfect graduation rate. So this is alarming. Next, I'm going to show you students missing 10% of the school year or more. This is considered a chronic absenteeism in the state of Georgia. And I showed 4 other schools that are like us as far as social economics, population, family income in the community. So these are the 4 other schools that we are most comparable in the state of Georgia. So I wanted to compare these numbers to what we see with others. Again, the blue is last year, gray is 2 years ago, red is 3 years ago, and green is 4 years ago. And again, 28.8% of the building last year is missing over 10% of school. You don't have to be a genius to come to the realization that if students are not in school, they can't learn. And that's only going to hurt the graduation rate. So how do we combat this to get students here at school more often? So the demographic for the building right now, for this school year, Marietta, Black student population is 37.8%. Hispanics come right in under that at 37.3. The white population is 18.4. Other or multi is 5.1, and Asians are 1.4%. So again, this is alarming because we have 37.3% of the building that are graduating at a lower rate than 18% of our building. All right, so again, Black students miss the most school than any other race in the building at Marietta. More than half the student population is missing more than 5 days of school. 52% of the building qualified for free and reduced lunch. So I wanted to make sure we get that stat in there as well. So diversity plan goals. So what I have proposed in increasing diversity and multicultural education, the 4 goals I've come up with is build better relationships with family and community and increase parent involvement. Again, if parents are not involved, it makes it awfully difficult for schools to work alone with the student. If we get the parents involved, we're going to have more likelihood of getting the kid to the building and we'd be able to work with them. Second goal, improving student engagement by increasing attendance to school and create more learning opportunities. This kind of goes hand in hand with the first goal, but we've got to make it more engaging to the student. We've got to create a curriculum that is more tailored to them. If we're just going to talk about, white man history for an Hispanic population or a female population, they're going to be less likely to be engaged because it's not as relevant to them. We cannot teach like we've done the last 10, 15 years because this country is ever changing and we have to tailor our education to the masses and not just a certain percentage. The third goal, recruit and retain a building staff that is more representative of the school building. I do not have the numbers for that, but I know that we have a staff of almost 200 people in the building, and I'd be willing to bet that we are nowhere near 38% Hispanic and 38% Black on the staff. If we do have staff members that look and live like our students are going through now as teenagers, we're gonna be more likely to give those life experiences to the students, as opposed to someone that's from a different background, a different race. We're just gonna be more effective as teachers and educators in creating those relationships. And lastly, provide more professional opportunity for faculty and staff of cultural awareness. As I showed in the previous slide, very diverse school. It's not just black or white, it's black, white, Hispanic, Asian, multi, and I do not think that this community is going to change anytime soon. If anything, it's going to be even more diverse. With the community located where it is, of 2 major highways, the suburbs of Atlanta, we're only going to continue to be more diverse as we move in the future. All right, so goal 1, build better relationships with families. And the way we do that is cultural fluency training with staff. We need to hire more people that are bilingual. We cannot reach students and families where they are if we can't speak their language. With that in, we have parent nights, informational meetings throughout the year, different sessions, and we also are going to deliver that in Spanish. Again, if we can't meet parents where they are, if we can't speak their language. Parent universities with sessions, also provided in Spanish, open house, both in the fall and the spring. Newsletters delivered in Spanish. School status used to communicate with parents. This one is huge for me. I can't tell you how many times I have come in contact with parents on my caseload and people and students in my class that their parents have no idea what their kid is doing. So we've got to inform parents how to work in school status and respond to our school status messages so we can get a hold of these parents. If we're not getting parents involved, again, it's going to make it awfully difficult for the school just to deal with the child. School website, obviously, if we keep that up to date, there shouldn't be anything that's outdated 6 months. I've worked in other systems where the website hadn't been touched in weeks and months out of the year. That's embarrassing. So we stay up to date on those things. Schoology and Aspen, a lot like school status, we've got to train our parents how to use these 2 platforms so they know exactly where to find assignments, how to check the kid's grade. We can't go months at a time and we say, little Johnny or little Susie is failing and has been for the last 6-7 weeks, and that parent's going to turn to the parent or the teacher and say, why haven't you been contacting me? Well, we're going to contact you through this because we're going to have live grades, updated every 2 weeks. So we've got to train parents how to use these 2 platforms. Social media platforms. Anytime we can put news of what our kids are doing in and out of school, we get contribution to them through the public. That's great. Make sure we're flooding Twitter, we're flooding Facebook, obviously in a professional manner. But let's get the information out to them however means necessary. And then lastly, coordinated effort with post-secondary institutions, business communities, partners to promote college and career readiness. If we can get students in our CTAE classes, if we can get them in training or internship their senior year, we build that relationship within the community, and students are going to be more likely to get a job with these businesses, even if they decide not to go to college. We have a lot of students in this building that are planning not to go to college, and you don't have to go to college to be successful, and the students need to know that. But we've got to build bridges between the school and the community as a whole to be mentors and potential places of employment for our students. All right, the second goal, improve student engagement by increasing attendance to school and create more learning opportunity. One thing that we are doing that I'd like to see more of is monthly attendance panels with students. We sit down with the student and the parents. They are required to come to these meetings, and we sit down and we try to understand why their kid is missing so many days of school. Again, we cannot teach a kid if they're not here in the building. Second, provide Marietta non-traditional programs. We have a lot of programs within the system. Just to name a few of non-traditional programs that we do offer, Professional Learning Center on campus. Anytime a student's having an issue, we do have a Student Life Center that has trained employees that deal with counseling services, social services. They can use this program to help them. It's not just an ISS room where we just throw them in a room just to get them out of a classroom. No, let's find where they are, what they need, and see what we can do from a professional standpoint to help these kids. Marietta Alternative Program and Services, night school, even Excel programs. If parents want their kid to get a head start for next year, they can come in during the summer, get some instruction, get a little preview of what we're going to be doing going into August. So it's about a 6-week program, so it's not going to be anything that it's going to be much of a surprise for them. And that's going to be offered to any student or family that would like to attend that. And then the last two I wanted to cover with non-traditional programs. Afternoon extended day tutoring. We do a program where we have extended day pay for teachers that want to stay and do tutoring. I would like to see a little more incentive to get more participation by teachers. We shouldn't have only 3 or 4 teachers. We need it across the board, across the curriculum, to help these students in need with whatever curricular content they need. And then also a credit recovery program. If students have a 64 through 69, we can do a credit extension, or we can do an Edgenuity class where we can throw them in the digital learning lab and they can work at their own pace to recover those credits they may have lost maybe when they were a freshman or more immature than they are now. So we can provide those opportunities. Student support service, again, Student Life Center with that. College and career advising is crucial. And promotion of Diversity Club as a way for students to get connected with staffs and other peers. We do have a Diversity Club here. I would like to see that promoted a little bit more. What they do is affinity groups and roundtable discussions on hot topics happening in society every day. That was huge for us last year with virtual learning. Host cultural events. We had 6 weeks ago, we had Latin American Month, and we had the culinary class made different dishes and provided to the students. The staff, I thought that was great. Have opportunities to learn how to cook, but also learning different foods from different cultures and countries that they may not see in Marietta. Also do March Madness Cultural Awareness Month in March. Each week is dedicated to a different subgroup. It may be Black awareness, women awareness, students with disability, transgender students. Had activities last year where we had Kahoot and other videos that touched on some of these last year as warm-ups during the third block or during our lunch period. It doesn't take much to just have a 10-minute warm-up to show these videos and promote the Diversity Club and their efforts and to come up with some of these activities. All right, goal 3, recruit and retain a building and staff that is more representative of the school building. In ways we're going to do that, we're going to continue to recruit through Marietta City Schools and diversity job fairs. Again, we've got to find a way to close the gap as having more Hispanic representation in the building. With our school being almost 40% Hispanic, we need more and more staff members that are bilingual and also come from the same background, so they have the same life experiences that our students are dealing with today. Like me personally, being a white male, I can't connect as much as someone that has lived through some of the trials and tribulations some of our students are having. Increase the number of faculty and staff that are bilingual, like I said. Hire special ed teachers who can teach general education content. This one was huge for me. Right now, I am not certified in literature, but I've been asked to co-teach 6 literature classes, and I do not feel like our special ed kids are getting as much education as they could because I'm not certified in that. So, especially in science and special education, we have one certified science special ed teacher in the building. So we're having to move around, teach out of content, and I do realize that special education is tough to find teachers, but we've got to do a better job of hiring higher quality teachers that can teach subjects that they are being asked to co-teach in. Increase the number of minority teachers who are IB and gifted certified teachers. With the small amount of students we have in the building on IB certificate, let's have a diverse staff that can teach these classes. It shouldn't just be white teachers or white female teachers or all black teachers. Let's have a diverse staff. So these students that are taking this alternate diploma, they get an experience with diversity as well. We're not just in a class with just white kids. We're also have to hear, life experiences, maybe someone outside of our race that has a different background. We have a huge issue in this building where we have just the upper class white student is all taking IB classes. They have a skewed outlook on society when they get out of the building. That's not how life is going to work. We need them to get life experiences not only from someone of their race, but someone that might have a different view or a different upbringing than what they're currently going through. Lastly, diversify professional learning communities. We shouldn't have PLCs that just have same gender and same race within a room talking about instruction that have the same outlook on life. I know in my PLC with American Lit, we have 6 women and me being the one male. It is nice for me to hear different perspectives from different genders, but we need to do a better job of having more diversity PLCs. Like for social studies, we shouldn't just have coaches talking about U.S. history instruction. If we have 6 or 7 like gender and like age and race, then of course we're not going to listen to other alternative assignments and ideas when it comes to our curriculum and our instruction. All right, and lastly, provide more professional opportunities for faculty and staff for cultural awareness. For this one, I'm not going to read all of these. I know it's a little busy here. But the biggest one out of this group, I wanted to talk about peer walkthroughs to provide feedback. We should not have our administrators just do walkthroughs with TEKs. Let's have a department head, come in and look at instruction. Let's have, a buddy teacher or a mentor teacher come and see, how we deliver instruction and see if there's any way we can improve. Is there trends that we do with providing our instruction or delivering our instruction? Do we favor one side of the room or not? Do we favor a certain gender? So it's always nice to get feedback from other teachers that necessarily we don't listen to, we don't answer to, just to be more rounded educators. And then the second big point I wanted to make out of this subgroup was provide Jedi training. Last year during the pandemic, we were all offered justice, equity, diversity, inclusion training. Is an 8-week program where we're forced in small groups with someone that teaches outside of our content, someone that had a different race, different upbringing than our own, and we talked about social issues. I would like to see this continue. We had a retention rate of, a little over 80% from last year. So we have, 20% of the building that may not get this training. I would like to see this training provided year-round during professional learning days or during pre-planning. So again, we provide ourselves with more ideas and thoughts about maybe someone that has a different upbringing than our own, and it makes us better teachers to think a little different than maybe our own perspectives. So that is